difficult to focus and concentrate. I wonder if others experience as I do. Emotional urges, thought processes, and intuitive abilities are extremely volatile and mercurial in temperament, especially the way they affect our life and the way or manner in which we decide or our ability to make decisions. I am no one to judge or analyze this because my mind is prone to the same restrictions and constraints under which every human mind survives and functions. Since my thoughts are always scattered and fragmented, I can never have a seamless or a consistent flow of thinking. This only proves my lack of focus or concentration, a virtue I am not blessed with. Unfortunately, as of now, I do not read much. However, a couple of years ago, when the burden of making a living was not so tense or chronic, I did read a few books, and I am grateful to British Council for the same. Reading chisels your mind, makes you a visual thinker. Buying books is expensive and a privilege I could never afford to indulge in. When you wish to read a bit, when you wish to read a bit but cannot afford to buy every book you come across, then the best option is to opt for a library. British Council has some really good collection in its stock. A few years ago, one had the option or the facility to visit that library. You could screen through the bookshelves, sit back for a while, read or browse through the books you intend to borrow. By the end of the day, you had the shortlisted few books you were allowed to rent for a number of days. This was far more comfortable for souls as weird as I am. Some of the best books I have read in my life so far were from the British Council Library. The current scenario is all about online circulation and renting. Once you avail the membership, you get a login to access the database of books on circulation. You select the books online and they deliver them to your address. Convenient and feasible if you have a house or an address of your own. Unfortunately for someone like me who's a vagabond and has no permanent address or a place of my own, this convenience becomes a pleasure difficult to access. I am certain for one thing, the team that selects and manages the collection of books, they know their job pretty well and are extremely resourceful in their approach. The reason I emphasize and stress the importance of reading is because just the way people do physical exercises to keep themselves healthy and stress-free, the same way reading is an exercise of the mind, your intellectual prowess. For the past couple of years, I have not read a single book and I can see the degeneration. My mind is more restless, scattered, and it becomes a tedious task for me to concentrate, which makes me dig into my past and look for the future. It is not easy for people to live and think in their present, and I'm one such foolish soul. Present is what is important, and when we do not live in our present, we are running away from the battlefield and are not making any attempts to live or to survive. Life is all about survival and to make the most of your abilities to survive. We need to live in the present and accept what comes through. Even when it comes to tarot readings, the emphasis is always on the present. I will not deny that the reason why people approach any card reader is because they are curious about the future. You seek for the future or the unknown when your present is painful and one is looking for an escape. There are times when we cannot resolve the present crisis and cannot face it either. Even then, we cannot discount the fact that the present phase or issue needs to be resolved so as to ensure a peaceful future. What we all know is that the human soul does not wish to suffer. So the moment anything unpleasant comes up, we look for a way out by cursing the past or the people, or by hoping for a peaceful and prosperous future. Who does not love wishful thinking in times of panic? We all do. What is difficult is to face the present. What is crucial right now will shape our survival instincts. I have published a few articles or blogs over the years on the World Wide Web. I am immensely grateful to all those websites who have allowed me to publish my content on their portals. However, I do not come across, right at the start of this video, I emphasize the need for feedbacks, which I don't come across much. I hope more and more people come to me with feedbacks on my work and on my content that is published online. Why not many people come across, I do not know. Maybe because very few people read my articles or blogs. I hope there are a lot many people who are going to watch this video. So if you are watching this video, you need to refer at least 10 people and ask them to watch it. It's not going to cost you anything. You just have to go on YouTube or any of the sites which are there where this video is uploaded, and just spend 5 or 10 minutes of yours watching it. I do not know why, I mean, whether the articles or blogs that I publish are too inconsequential or unimportant to comment on, or people who read my content are too busy to spend 5 minutes of their time to send me a feedback or just mail it to me. What is important is that if you gain something from this video, so the same way I gain a lot from your feedback. So please do write to me if you have an opinion on my writing. I'm open to all kinds of criticism, as long as as long as you make an attempt to criticize, or as long as you make an attempt to write a feedback. I will never know my mistakes. It is the reader who makes me realize where I've gone wrong. So any feedback, anything you wish to know, always welcome to contact me. Even if you wish to know how a reading is done, or what all you need for reading, to approach me for a reading, and what all I need from my end, and how do I go about with a reading, contact me. You can search my work on any of the search engines. Google is an appropriate one, or many other sites. I'm grateful to Google for many things. All you need to do is go on a search engine, type 3 keywords. The first keyword would be my first name, that is spelled as R for Rotterdam, O for Oscar, H for Hong Kong, I for Indonesia, T for Tango, a space after that. The second keyword would be my last name, that is D for Delta, U for United, A for Alpha, space. The third keyword would be tarot, T-R-O-T. And when you search on any search engine with these 3 keywords, you will get my profile on different sites, and my contact details will be mentioned. Anything, you're always welcome. God bless. My name is Rohit Dua. I'm a tarot card reader. I'm going to discuss one of my articles. I published this article in a couple of years ago. Okay, and any feedback, anything you wish to know about my articles, or anything you need to comment on my articles, on my work, is always welcome. You can send in an email or call me on my numbers, or leave a message, whatever works for you. Okay, and do make an attempt. And if you're watching this video, watch the entire video. Don't leave it halfway. Okay, that's a request. This article which I'm going to discuss is the oldest profession. Okay, that's the name of this article. This article or blog is a souvenir from my end to my goddess Kali, the goddess of destruction, tantra and occult powers, the goddess who helps us seek and find our inner self even in the most traumatic phases of life. May she bless the reader, or in this case the viewer as well. Any feedback, even if it is negative, is most welcome. It is a source of learning and understanding for someone, especially understanding someone else's perspective, and for me it's immensely gainful. So feedbacks are always welcome. The oldest profession. There are 2 reasons or motives which made me write this article or blog. Firstly, the fact being that I worship goddess Kali, the goddess of destruction, revenge, the consort of Mahakala, the patron of sex workers and hermaphrodites. Secondly, for a tarot card reader, people from a profession which is uncertain and dependent on the flow of customers form a substantial part of the clientele. I would expect a stockbroker or a trader on any stock exchange to be more receptive towards my craft as compared to someone who has a stable source of income, a profession which will stay for longer and is unaffected by any market situation. People from professions like medical healthcare or shipping will not get affected by the ups and downs of a volatile market or economic scenarios. However, a stockbroker is more vulnerable. His profession or his source of income is somehow related to a market which is volatile, unpredictable and beyond his reach. To choose a source of living of your choice is not feasible for everyone. Very few get that opportunity. There are certain professions which may not be respected in society, but form an integral part of this society. In other words, should I say that this profession contributes towards an integral soul of this so-called society. Every entity or a mode of work or employment in this world has its own relevance. Irrespective how we look at it, the importance or the relevance stays the way it is. Irrespective of how much people criticize or look down upon sex workers, it is the very same people who approach them at dusk for pleasures of the flesh. Temple prostitution, or pleasing the goddess by offering one's body to a stranger, has been a part of sacred folklore. Sexual rites and rituals practiced by hierodules form an integral element of mythology. Any soul who has been a part of the oldest profession learns to give unconditionally. Their ability to survive through personal pain, tragedies, and intense suffering helps them identify and recognize the suffering in others. Just the way people from the medical profession are those who are born to heal, people blessed with the gift of healing, similarly, a sex worker is also someone who's born to heal, healing of not just the body, but the soul as well. One of my favorite authors has written a very good book on the life of a sex worker. Read 11 Minutes. Honestly, I liked 11 Minutes and Brida more than his best-selling Alchemist. I personally believe that any and every soul deserves respect, irrespective what work or profession one belongs to in the worldly form. Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita that one should follow or fulfill one's duty and not expect any results. This is exactly what sex workers do. Poverty, lack of education or skills to seek employment, and a chronic need for money. These and many other reasons force them into this profession. Circumstances and situation beyond anyone's reach form an integral part of decision making. Most of them don't even have a choice. Life is not easy for anyone, and what we look for is a mode of survival. Sex is a source of pleasure for many, but for people from the sex trade, sex is a source of pain and health issues. To indulge in pleasure out of one's free will is a part of human desire of fulfillment. To give pleasure to someone else as a mode of living or survival, even though the experience is not palatable to one's senses, is not easy on a day in and day out basis. Among those very few set of harsh circumstances and constraints, any and every sex worker looks for love, financial independence, and happiness, even though love and happiness would be a part of wishful thinking, but hope is a desire which gives us the ability to survive. In astrology, the placement of Saturn, Mars, Rahu, and Venus gives us the clue whether the native will follow the forbidden path or no. The placement and conjunction of Venus with any other planet plays an important role, whether the native has the ability to attract men or make a living out of this profession. At the same time, what needs to be understood is that the planets which compel one to follow this profession are the very same planets which bestow the native with spiritual inclination. Among tarot cards, it is a combination of certain cards in a given spread, which give us a clue or indication whether the native will have to follow this profession out of need or chronic circumstances. The line between a desire to seek pleasure and to make a living out of it is a very thin one. At times, the person you love and trust is the very same person who will dump you in this never-ending abyss. That is how most of those innocent girls land up in brothels. The Devil card from the major arcana is ruled by the planet Saturn and the zodiac Capricorn. I'm using a Morgan Green tarot deck right now. It's one of the best ones. I've used a couple of others. I'm going to discuss in one of my videos the others I've used. But this is a Devil card. This is a card which is ruled by Saturn. This is a card which is ruled by the Capricorn zodiac. It's a card of temptations, addictions, but it's also, it's a Saturn card, so it's got what makes you suffer also teaches you a lot. It's also a card which brings money from sources which are not legally acceptable to life, which are not within the confines of society. This is usually a card which makes you an outcast, but at the same time it makes you learn a lot from those humiliating experiences. It is a card of pleasure, greed, manipulation, foul play, and temptations which are difficult to resist. The presence of such cards with a combination of other cards ruled by Mars and Venus would indicate excessive sexual urges or harsh circumstances, which would force one to follow the path of pain and humiliation. However, there is nothing fixed or certain when it comes to predictive astrology or tarot. Just as the human soul is vast, complex, deep, and difficult to understand, in a similar manner, the knowledge of astrology and tarot is inexhaustive, vast, never ending, and something that cannot be covered by any human soul in one lifetime. Most of the times, it is a gray area which is very subjective. The astrological chart or the tarot cards never go wrong, but it is the reader, the astrologer, the medium who has to translate and place the information in the right place. The interpretation or the information needs to fall in sync with the client's life. What needs to be understood is that the profession which makes one go through never-ending emotional pain and humiliation is the very same profession which makes the native a follower of rituals, rites, and practices which have been passed over eons as a part of a tradition. Even sex workers or sexual trade or prostitution or flesh trade, it has got rituals and rites which have been followed in different religions all over the world, and those are extremely sacred rituals, even though people look down upon it. But those are not just sacred, but they are also very relevant in many ways.